Welcome back, YouTubers, brothers, sisters. This is Etonick here, and I'm really excited right now. Why am I excited? Because it's football season. Football. Who's playing Sunday night? Chicago Bears playing the Green Bay Packers. Sorry, Packers fans out there, but they're going down. That's right. Bears are gonna win it all this year. One good thing I really like about football, just the whole atmosphere, the whole thing about it, just this whole struggle, this, leading up to this Super Bowl. I mean, it's amazing. Football, if you're from Illinois, Bears fan, I just can't wait. One thing about football is don't we all like to watch the commercials? I mean, that's what, we can't wait for the halftime at the Super Bowl because we love the commercials, right? One of the commercials I like is the commercial of the men that are interviewing at a press conference a football coach. Now we know that they're interviewing them and they're asking them, the coach, they're asking questions about a beer, and it appears that the coach is responding to their questions about the beer. But we know that's not the truth. The truth is it's a fancy tricks of cutting and splicing, editing the video of the coach, because in reality the coach is answering real questions about a football game, about what happened at the game and with his team. Did they win or did they lose? But these advertisers cut and splice this interview so that it appeared that he's answering questions about a beer, but he's not. If you ask a true witness who was actually at the press conference, someone who was actually there firsthand, what this coach was talking about, well, they're gonna tell you that it was about the game, not about beer. So when we look at these commercials, we know that it's an advertisement, and we know the truth is not what it appears to us at home watching on television. So what is our point? We're talking here, I want to talk about being a witness, being a true witness. If you look at the definition of a witness, and this is from dictionary.com, an attesting of a fact, statement, etc., evidence, testimony, a person who saw or can give a first-hand account of something, a person who testifies in court, a person called upon to observe a transaction, signing, etc., in order to testify concerning it if it is later held in question. Right? So if we basically, a witness is someone who's telling firsthand what they saw and what they heard. Being in the Army, I've been a party to a lot of instances where investigators have asked me to write a sworn statement. Now, a sworn statement is a legal binding document, so when you write it, you have to tell the truth. Otherwise, later it could come back on you for perjury, for telling a lie. So when you write a statement, well, it's simple. You just, in detail, talk about what you saw and what you heard. You answer the 5 questions: who, what, when, where, how, and why. So why do I bring this up? Yesterday I was at work and I had some time or whatever, and so I pulled up on my computer and I started reading in the book of Acts, and I got into Acts chapter 22, and I really like Paul. He's one of my favorite. If you look in Acts chapter 22, Paul's talking about his testimony, and in his testimony, if you read down, it led to verse 15. Verse 15, for thou shalt be his witness unto all men of what thou hast seen and heard. I really believe that this commission of Paul's is really a commission for all of us, for me, for you, for all Christians, to go out there and to be a true witness for Christ. Paul, a little background here on Paul. Paul was from Tarsus. His original name was Saul. Now, Tarsus was across the sea. Tarsus was like if you read commentaries, it was the retirement home for Roman soldiers, which meant that this is one of the reasons why Paul was a Roman citizen. But as a young man, a young child, he must have shown great aptitude, intellect, that he was actually sent to study under a man named Gamaliel. Gamaliel was a rabbi. He was well known. He's actually mentioned twice in the Bible, so he must have been pretty important. If you're mentioned in the Bible twice, must be a reason. How many times was Jesus mentioned in the Bible? He must have been real important, right? But Gamaliel, studying under Gamaliel in today's terms meant that he must have, in today's terms, it would have been like going to Harvard or going to Princeton, Yale, Oxford, really getting this, Ivy League education. The first time we see Saul is actually earlier, back in I think chapter 7, but it was the story of Stephen when they were trying to catch Stephen in blasphemy, and the only way that they were actually able to do it actually was to bring in a false, or not one, but several false witnesses to testify that he was blaspheming God. So that's not the kind of witness we want to be, or that we want to be a party of. We want to tell the truth. We want to tell what we have seen and what we have heard. So when we jump back to Paul's testimony here, Paul, he was good. He had a good education. But it wasn't the truth. It wasn't until he was stopped on the road to Damascus. On the road to Damascus, Jesus came, and like a bright light, where we're jumping down into chapter 6, a great light around me, and then in verse 7, and I fell into the ground and heard a voice saying unto me, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Right? He needed a little education, and he must have been a little stubborn or something. So to get the message across, Christ made him blind, sent him on to Damascus, and he was blinded until Ananias, a devout man according to the law, in verse 12, came to him, and he said, Brother Saul, receive thy sight. At the same hour I looked upon him, and he said, The God of our fathers has chosen thee, that thou shouldst know his will, and see that just one, and shouldst hear the voice of his mouth. For thou shalt be his witness unto all men of what thou hast seen and heard. And from that day on, Paul went out and he testified the truth. He was a true witness for Christ. And of course we all know he went on to write 13 epistles in our New Testament. Did he write Hebrews or not? Whatever. But you can say that half the New Testament was written by Paul. So he went out and he was a true witness, and he did the right things. He did the will of God. And that's what we should do as Christians also. We need to be true witnesses to Christ. We need to testify to wherever we feel prompted to go and tell what we have seen and heard. What has God done for you in your life? The struggles and the addictions or whatever it was that you overcame, that God helps you overcome, and that you were saved from by the blood of Christ. Those are the things that you should go out and testify to. There's a certain young lady that I work with. Do I try to act over, tell her things that I don't know about? Do I fabricate these stories just to win an argument? Or to win her over, to bring her to Christ? No, I talk about what God has done for me in my life. What has he done for me? What has he done for my family? What has he done that I have seen and I have heard? I don't fabricate. I don't tell somebody else's story of what they have done. I talk about what God has done, what I have seen and done, what God has done in my life. That is testament. That is the type of witness that we are called to be. There's a lot more to it, but in a nutshell, in the basics, and we'll talk more about it later. I'm sure people might have questions or they want to refute some stuff or whatever, but we're reading right here in the Bible. We're trying to make it practical to our lives today. So be a true witness for Christ. Talk about what you have seen, what you have heard, what you have overcome through the blood of Christ. Till next time, brothers, sisters, amen. God bless.